Welcome back to the 1000 Cranes video log. I'm here in Hillsborough, North Carolina with Tom Stevens, who's here on the program. And Tom is a leadership consultant, an executive coach, and a professional speaker. And Tom has also been a writer. He has an e-zine that you have called Think, that you have, and also has appeared in a number of business magazines. And you coincidentally happen to be the mayor of Hillsborough.
Naomi, it's not just a coincidence. I had to get elected. And it was a close election. I had to work very hard. It was new for me and knocked on a lot of doors, won by 43 votes.
43, wow.
43 votes. And you know, the big issue that we had talked about was leadership, was being intentional about where we're going as a town. And I am a leadership coach and development person, and I had to use a lot of those skills and continue to use them in a town.
And I was going to ask you about those leadership skills. Now, you have something called the 5 dimensions of leadership. So for our viewers out here, can you explain a little bit more about what you mean by the 5
Absolutely.
dimensions?
Thank you for mentioning those. 5 dimensions of leadership are ways to clarify how we think about leadership. If you go to Amazon.com, you'll find something like 20 or 30,000 different books on leadership. If you go on Google, you'll find something like 164 million hits.
Wow.
There's a lot of different ideas floating around.
There's a lot of people talking about leadership
Right,
out
and
there.
there's no one way. You know, our language often has different meanings for different words. So I think leadership usually revolves around 5 different discussions. One of the discussions is about roles, that what's the position somebody has. And now there's sort of 2 flavors of that. Those are 2 dimensions. One is being head of something. I'm mayor.
Right.
You know,
And
head.
as mayor, you have a certain role.
That's right, a certain role. There's the team leader, the CEO, the principal, somebody who has a particular role as the head of something, or the chief. The other role that sometimes people give deference to, not only with somebody who's sort of in charge, but the person who's the expert. And this could be the attorney, this could be the teacher, this could be the professional speaker, or somebody who's written a book,
Right.
but somebody who has credentials, a doctor, for example. So those are 2 roles, but where the rubber meets the road in leadership is not necessarily the leader who's up there because they have the title of leaders. It really is about action. And leadership action, there's a lot of confusion about this, comes in 2 flavors as well. One is leading, and the other is managing.
Right, and leadership versus management, that's a huge discussion. And a lot of people get confused by the 2 different types. So what would your definition of leadership be?
Well, leadership really is composed of both leading and managing. Sometimes we try to do an either or, often elevating leading up
Right.
and just to merely managing.
Or people take a management course thinking that they're getting leadership training, when
That's
in
right.
fact they're just learning management.
Or something that's talked about leadership, but it's really managing, or vice versa. So
Right.
managing is incredibly important, and the business literature will tell you this is what really holds companies together. But that's being able to make processes and resources and everything work together for an established set of goals. You can make things go forward, and that's aligning resources, making sure that you have your policies in place, making sure that people are doing what they need to be doing. You're sorting out differences between people, establishing discipline.
Right.
Really the discipline of getting things done. That's managing. That's different from leading. Leading is much more about how do you go someplace that's new and unknown. Managing is about stability. How do you keep things
Keeping
going?
everything working
In
and
order.
operating correctly. right?
Leading is about change. Leading is, will you follow me to this other place when the way forward is really unclear? That takes an entirely different set of skills. That's where vision comes in. That's where connection comes in.
And faith too.
A lot of faith.
Having to believe in something that may not be true right away.
That's right. And it's the faith that we could hold as a group of people. So leading and managing are the 2 dimensions where leadership action happens regardless of the person's position. And the key to that, this is where the 5th dimension comes in. It's what's the personal character and quality that you bring to the table. To bring out the best in other people, whether you're managing something or whether you're changing and leading to a whole new direction, means using the absolute best of your own skills. It means self-awareness. It means knowledge. It means doing things in a unique way that maybe nobody else is doing.
And trying to understand who you are and reflecting upon yourself is probably one of the hardest things for people to do as well.
It's very hard to do that well, particularly in today's we're so time bound and so rushed.
Right.
And yet it's something that is lifelong. And you will find that the top leaders are always striving to know themselves. How can they know themselves as a way of engaging other people and therefore moving ahead with particularly not only their agenda, but what's our agenda.
Right, and that goes back to the leadership. So you have to know who you are, you have to be able to communicate with others, and you have to get them to follow you to where you want them to go as well.
And this is where the work that you do, and that both of us do in our professions of strategic planning, leadership development is so important. The work where, as Mayor of Hillsborough, it's...
Yes, you have a lot of challenges too, because it's not just people leading, that you have to lead that follow you, but you also have to find the people who are going to challenge you, and how do you influence them so that they can see your vision as well.
My belief for our town is how do we create a community conversation so we're intentional about going forward in the future.
Right.
So, and that's what good organizations do as well. So it's a good way to lead life.
That's right. So if anybody out there wanted to learn more about the 5 dimensions, what would be the best way for them to find that information?
Oh, thank you for asking. Have a website where there's a lot of free resources, plenty of articles called www.Think Leadership Ideas. Pretty easy to remember. ThinkLeadershipIdeas.com.
Okay.
And my contact information is there too, and I'd love to hear from folks.
And also, if you have the time, come down to Hillsborough, North Carolina. It's a quaint little town, and also you'll likely see Tom there at one of the local shops or restaurants.
A delightful place, one of 2007 distinctive destinations in North Carolina. So we'll see you in Hillsborough.
Great. Well, thank you so much for being on the program. Really appreciate it. And we'll see you all again soon.